Hello and welcome. He started by thinking out of the box and within a few years had created the biggest encyclopedia project in the world. But perhaps more importantly, he brought together a huge online global community. This week on One-on-One, meet the founder of Wikipedia, Jimmy Wales. The path to becoming an internet pioneer began somewhat accidentally for this innovator born in Huntsville, Alabama, into a family with working parents. It was their passion for education that led Jimbo, as he's known to friends, into a successful career in finance, speculating on interest rates. Wales made enough money to gain security for life, which led him to explore the world of entrepreneurship and, ultimately, the creation of the globally recognized Wiki brand. He faced a few wrangles along the way over financial dealings in the Wikimedia Foundation and the editing of content on the Wikipedia site. But the early bumps in the road soon gave way to the development of a concept that seems to have an endless appetite for growth and has positioned Jimmy Wales as one of the most prominent innovators on the internet. Jimmy, great to be with you.
Yes, thanks for having me on.
A pleasure. You tell me about the Wiki brand because it's something quite amazing. It's not just Wikipedia, of course. Where did the name come from, first of all, and what does it spread into being?
So the idea of a wiki came from a guy named Ward Cunningham. He's a very famous programmer who works out of Portland. And he actually invented the wiki, which is the idea of a website that anyone can edit, back in 1995. And I only began to popularize it starting in 2001. So this had been a small underground culture on the net, sort of a long time ago. The word wiki comes from the Hawaiian word wiki, which means quick. And the idea of is quick collaboration. Lets people work together very quickly and easily.
So, of course, everyone knows Wikipedia, and pretty much everyone uses Wikipedia.
That's right.
But it's much more than that, isn't it? Now you've got the Wiki Foundation and Wikia.
Yeah, so Wikipedia is owned and operated by the Wikimedia Foundation, and we're a charity, and we're really trying to bring free knowledge to everyone. Then I have a for-profit company, Wikia, which is, as we call it, building the rest of the library. So we've got some 8,000 wiki communities making every other kind of book or work that, things that don't belong in an encyclopedia per se, humor sites, political activism sites, things like this. So it's very broad what people are beginning to do online.
Of course, you're in great demand now as a speaker, as a consultant, and so on. How do you focus your energies? What is your focus within the wiki world?
So my focus right now is I'm personally working a lot on the idea of a wiki-style search engine. So doing a lot of design, for it's search.wikia.com is where people can see what we're doing. We're just building it live and in public. Got a lot of programmers working on it and change it every day and sort of discussing and debating whether it's working and how to make it better and things like that. So I have a lot of fun with that.
Where does it go from here? Where does the Wiki brand expand into? I mean, other areas that haven't been tapped into yet?
Well, obviously, when we talk about Wikipedia as being a free encyclopedia for everyone on the planet, there's only about 1 billion people who are online right now. So we need to really think beyond just the online world and think about print, think about CD distribution, all those kinds of things. But also, even before we get to that point, we need to think about what are the languages that we're not very strong in. Just give one example, Arabic language. Although there are some 280 million native speakers of Arabic, we only have about 70,000 articles. So there's a lot of room for growth there. And there's actually a lot of excitement. We just had a conference in Egypt, and the young people are very excited about this idea. So we're just trying to figure out how to support those things and help those languages grow. At
what pace does the number of articles grow? I mean, where is it in what sort of ballpark?
So, it varies from language to language. Some of the more exciting languages in India that are really coming up, they're growing sometimes 10% a month, which is substantial. Of course, if you've only got 2,000 articles, 10% a month is still quite small. But and in general, across the whole site, I'd say 4 or 5% per month.
Now, in terms of how you've witnessed what can be done, how society can be changed, the traveling, as you say, gives you feedback. How much has it fueled the activist in you?
It's interesting because what I always say is I've become simultaneously less political and more political. I'm less political in the sense of I'm a lot less interested than I used to be in the particular day-to-day politics of this policy proposal or that policy proposal, because what I realize by traveling a lot is there are huge swaths of the world where just the basics of people being able to have a voice and being able to help decide what the policy is completely absent. Mm-hmm. For me, that fundamental is much more important than what people decide in the end. It's really key to the whole process.
Let me take you back to where it all began, Huntsville, Alabama, where you were born. Hardly the most international place in the world.
That's true, although in a certain ironic sense it was, because Huntsville is where the NASA rocket scientists all were. So after World War II, they brought all the German rocket scientists over, Werner von Braun, and then it became sort of a center for rocket scientists and engineering for the space program. So there was this core of really smart and interesting people, and there was a whole engineering community. It was very alien for the sleepy sort of cotton trading town in Alabama, but that was the environment I grew up in. And in fact, I grew up listening to the rockets. In other words, when they were testing the rockets to go to the moon, it would rattle the windows in our house when I was a very wee tyke, and so it gave us all the kids growing up there a real passion for science and optimism about the future.
Did it also give you I was going to say, to give you an idea about the world, the bigger world out there as well? Did you have that?
Yeah, a little bit. I guess there was Huntsville and the moon, so it was a little out. But I mean, it helped you sort of think about. It puts you in a perspective of saying, oh, I'm not just this kid in Alabama. I'm this kid on Earth, who's part of a species that's now beginning to think about leaving the Earth and visiting other places. And it really, when you take a look at things from that perspective, you sort of realize, like, oh, actually we're all people who live on this planet. It's a very tiny little planet in the grand scheme of things, and it does give you a bit of that global perspective, I think.
Your mother Doris and your grandmother Irma ran a small private school, and that's where you were educated.
Yes.
With a handful of kids, basically, about 4 or 5 of you. So how was that environment?
So it was interesting. I mean, at the time, I didn't know any different, right? But as I've grown up and I've seen other things, I've realized how special and unique it was. I mean, one aspect of it that has really a direct and kind of obvious bearing on my work today is that we had a huge amount of free time in our day. In other words, we had certain assignments, but really, we were really given latitude to pursue our own interests, which led to me having lots of time to sit and read the encyclopedia. So I really had this idea that from a very young age that, wow, if you're interested in something, you should just go read about it, and deeper and deeper and deeper. And now, of course, with the internet, people can really indulge those kinds of passions, whatever you're interested in.
What aspects of your character did you actually inherit from your mother, your grandmother, perhaps, that kind of family environment? What's visible in you from them?
Well, I mean, from my mother, my grandmother, my father, from that whole environment. I mean, one of the things that's really, I think, overlooked about my work is that I'm basically just a very friendly person, and this idea of this is something that the South in the U.S. is known for. One of the better things, it's known for bad things as well, but one of the better things it's known for is that people are just genuinely very sweet and friendly, and they approach you and they say, how you doing?
It's true, you're very approachable.
You were in Atlanta for a while with CNN, so you've experienced, that they're very approachable and very friendly and sincere about that sort of thing. And I don't know what the deeper roots of that are, but I just know for me that's some character trait that I've inherited, and so I don't sort of approach people in a confrontational way, typically. I just sort of assume they're going to be nice and, hey, what's going on, So.
Your father, Jimmy, ran a grocery store. He managed a store as well. What was your relationship like with him? How was that?
It was great. It was really interesting because Huntsville, from the time I was born, it grew from, 20,000 people to 200,000 people. But my dad had been there his whole life, and sort of going around town with my father, it was like he was the mayor in a certain sense. Everywhere we went, somebody knew him, and hey, Jimmy, how's it going? And really, he was always kind of a leadership figure in that sense. That people admired him and looked up to him because he was just a well-respected local figure and so forth. And so that kind of, I think, shaped how I wanted to live my life. To say, should be somebody that people would like to say hi to. So.
Well, you went into finance. You got your master's in finance from University of Alabama too, and you pursued a career basically in the financial world, became a trader and so on. How did you like that career?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. You know, it was fast-paced and exciting. You know, it was a very much an intellectual challenge, because the kind of trading that I was doing was really, you know, mathematical arbitrage, and so it was really kind of cool. I could, you know, work really hard and think hard about a mathematical model and a computerized trading model, set it up, and data feeds coming in and all this sort of thing, and then you execute it, and hopefully you don't
scientific in its own way.
Yeah, it was very much something that I enjoyed. Yeah.
And presumably it was lucrative enough for you to get onto hobbies and things that you wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good career, you know. But for me, what happened was I was doing that, and all of a sudden the internet became really big, and I saw a lot of interesting stuff going on the internet, and I thought, wow, you know, this is actually where the action is. I should, you know, I should go where the action is, because that's what's the most fun to do.
So what sort of vision did you have at that time that has led to what is Wikipedia now?
Well, you know, in the early days before Wikipedia, I had the same idea starting in around 1999 of Newpedia, as I called it then.
And you prefer that name, don't you?
I do. It's a great name. Newpedia is much easier to digest than Wikipedia, which unfortunately somehow has become a global brand name. But I didn't really understand online communities at the time, and so you know, we ended up hired a PhD in philosophy to help organize it, and ended up with a very sort of top-down system that was very academic and very rigid, and actually it didn't work that well. You know, in the final analysis, because it wasn't much fun for the volunteers, it was really kind of an intimidating thing. People didn't really join, didn't really do a lot of work, although a lot of people had approached us online. You know, we had a little bit of news coverage in the tech press and so forth, and a lot of people came and said, "This is really great. You know, there really should be a free encyclopedia for everyone. I want to help." But then we would say, "Oh, well, here's your 7-stage review process," and they would say, "Okay, you know, I really do want to help, but that sounds like a lot of work." You know, so eventually we radically changed everything and made it really. It was really a core value then to say, let's bring in as much participation as we can.
Jimmy, don't go away. Many more questions for you. More one-on-one coming up in just a moment.